What up, people? What up? It's me again, L Teddy 27, and this is Angry Teacher Chronicles. This is my review for Queen Sugar Season 4, Episode 8. And we're going to get right down to it, people. Knock this one out. See how y'all like it. And then meet y'all in the comment section. Alright. So, we start off where we ended last week. Last week we found out the mill was on fire. When we start this week's episode, the mill is burning to the ground. To the ground. Listen. It's burning to the ground. Okay. So, we got all of that to deal with, okay? All of that. Charlie is there. She's with Micah. Then we see Rod comes into the scene. Kiki comes running up. Kiki, do you love me? Listen, I'm sorry. And I hate Drake. And my best friend's going to pick at me about that because he knows how much we both loathe hate. I mean, not hate, Drake. How much we hate Drake. Yes. I'm just saying. Where was I? Oh, Kiki runs up. Y'all know I be forgetting. And she's all concerned now because, I mean, she's, having to deal with, the reality that, hey, if something had happened to Micah, she really does still love and care about him. And she certainly doesn't want to see anything bad happen to him. So she's all concerned about Micah. Then I gotta take a drink before this. Oh, dear God. Notice the eye roll. Nova rolls up. She rolls up, all distraught. Oh, that's my sister. Oh, I'm so concerned about my sister's safety. And girl. You weren't that concerned about how your sister feel when you was putting all that shit up in that book. You weren't concerned about how your sister was going to feel when you wrote that whole book and didn't even call and consult her about the fact that you were including her in there. Girl, sit down somewhere, Nova. Sit your ass the fuck down somewhere. I'm just saying. Anyway. Not Nova. Charlie wasn't there for her. Ralph Angel was not there for her. Micah is the one who called her and told her. And we all side-eyed. I think everybody in America collectively side-eyed Micah like, what the fuck you calling this whore for? They weren't here for it. Charlie and Nova back and forth. Charlie said, listen, there's no we. There is no we. Don't include me in with you. Okay? Move it on. At the diner. Vi's at the diner by herself. In pops up Sam Landry. Vi talked to Sam Landry. She says, listen, I know you done did this. And I know Sam is like, that ain't me. That ain't my style. I wouldn't do that, this, that, and the third. I wouldn't do nothing to your family. Vi like, cut the bull, okay? Even if you tell me you didn't do it yourself. Because I neglected to say, when they were at the mill, the firefighter came out and said, well, listen, this looks like arson. Somebody tampered with, perhaps some of your fire, alarms or fire detectors and smoke detectors and so forth. And, there are traces of things that could lead to arson. That could lead to, them thinking that it's arson. So, anyway, Vi meets with Sam Landry. Sam Landry says, listen, this is not me. This is not my style. This is not how I do things. She was like, but you know who did it. And he was like, listen, it's bigger than me. Like your boy said, it's above me now. It's above me now. That's basically what he was saying. It's above me now. Really trying to absolve himself of everything that's going on. Obviously, and I think... y'all know my mind, man. Y'all know I don't be remembering everything. But I think we have discussed or it was discussed in previous episodes that Vi has done something for Sam. I don't remember. Y'all help me out in the comments where Sam owes Vi. And so Vi is here to collect that favor. She's here to cash in on the favor that he owes her. And she was like, "Listen, leave my family alone. I'm cashing in my favor. You need to put this to rest." And he was like, "Listen, I'll do the best I can, but I don't know." So she's really trying to call in and cash in his favor so she can get him to stop messing with her family. He's all about, "Oh well, I'll see what I can do." We know better. Charlie then goes over to see Francis Boudreaux. And listen, let me help you understand something. This is the best scene of the episode. This is the scene of the episode, okay? Because this epic showdown, okay, that we had, listen, it was epic, okay? This was a showdown of showdown. This was a battle of wits. This was Alpha Dog versus Alpha Dog. And neither one was backing down. Old racist ass Francis Boudreaux had all her horns and talons out. And so did Charlie. Baby, they was going at each other. You know, things, Francis saying things to Charlie like, "You needed to be put in your place." Because she started off talking about this sisterhood. Baby, after, you know, it took about 3.5 seconds before all of this sisterhood stuff went out the window. And she was going at it. Because she was like, "Oh, you trying to be white?" It was just a whole ordeal. It was just so racist. It wasn't, this scene didn't have undertones of racism. It was blatant. It was in your face. It was, "I'm cutting you, I'm slapping you in the face with it, and deal with it." Because Ralph Angel had driven Charlie over there, and so he waited outside with her and said, "Don't let nobody in here." Charlie told him not to let anybody in there. So they have this epic, you know, conversation back and forth. I mean, it is great. It is phenomenal. You see old school white privilege and their racism, new school black privilege, you know, and wanting to have or establish their own dominance. And who's going to win? And that's, you know, a real depiction of kind of what we have going on in America, where you have this battle of wits, where you have white America who's trying to hold on to their supremacy while they are coming to grips with the country. The country's demographics are shifting, and sooner as opposed to later, the demographics are going to have white people no longer the majority. And they don't know how to deal with that. They've never had to deal with that. And so this is what Francis Boudreaux is having to deal with as well. And the Landrys. A lot going on there. Charlie is trying to be regular Charlie in these moments, where she is in command. She's going and she's being proactive. She's doing what she's always done. But see, what Charlie doesn't understand is Charlie's from back over in LA. And what you don't understand, I grew up in a large city. And for those of us who did grow up in large cities, what you have to understand is the fact that large cities are places where there's a lot more minority influence. You can do a lot more. You can be a lot more successful. There are avenues and there are things put in place by which people of color can be successful, can become affluent. However, when you're in a place like St. Joe's Parish, when you live in the South, when you live in rural America, that ain't happening. And you ain't coming up in rural America thinking that you about to have these same big city advantages. doesn't quite work out like that. And so Nova goes there trying to, throw some weight around, and Francis Boudreaux is here for it. Because see, a white person in a big city like an LA or another big city, they ain't gonna be that blatantly racist, because they know I don't live in a place where I can get away with that, because big cities are much more progressive. In a rural town, you could be just as racist as you want to be, and ain't nobody gonna make no bones about it. And Charlie's coming face to face with that. And we're gonna see even more. We'll talk about this in just a few moments. How it ain't that easy. You can't just walk up in there and throw your weight around with them, because they got real power and influence in places like that. And they can hit you in ways that you didn't think about, because you didn't have to necessarily deal with that in a large urban area. All right, let's keep going. So, Charlie leaves. Ralph Angel gets in the car with Ralph Angel, and we find out Ralph Angel has recorded the whole conversation. And he and Charlie think, okay, maybe this will help us. We can use this later. We then see Nova goes to the diner. Obvious, and I knew right away, Vi must not be there. Rhonda must not be there either, because Rhonda already, we saw a couple of episodes ago, was not letting Nova know her in there. You know Vi wasn't going to let her in the diner. But she goes in. Aunt Vi's not there. Apparently Rhonda ain't there either. Prosper is there. Mr. Prosper is there. And he sits down, and him and Nova begin to talk. Then we got this scene where Darla is watching the news. She finds out about the meal. She tries to call Ralph Angel, I guess, to check on him and see how he's doing and see how, the family's doing. He doesn't answer. Meanwhile, Ralph Angel's at home with, yes, I must say it, get over it, the ugly chick. You mad? The ugly chick. Because I'm still mad that this whore is pushing up on my bae. Ugly chick is there, and they're talking about, okay, what we're going to do now, making out plans for what we're going to do about saving the reentry program, because she is telling him, listen, we got to go before this board, and they're going to be investigating all of the things that are about to happen with regard to them investigating and making sure that the reentry program is on the up and up, and they're trying to keep it. Darla, because she couldn't get in contact with Ralph Angel, shows up. Awkward. Because Ralph Angel and the ugly chick was about to kiss. And Darla shows up, and it's real awkward. And so there's this back and forth where she's, trying to check on Ralph Angel and the family. He's like, we good, da da da. Ugly chick sees that, maybe I probably need to, exit. And she tries to, but Darla's like, no, that's fine. I'm about to leave anyway. You ain't got to do that, so forth and so on. Because Darla see that she done interrupted something too. And she leaves. Y'all know Darla ain't happy about this. And, shouts out to James Caldwell. If you're not watching James Caldwell, Spill It Boy TV on YouTube, you're missing out. He's a great content creator. James Caldwell cannot stand Darla. So I cannot wait to see what he has to say about Darla after this episode. He don't like no parts of Darla. So I know he's going to obliterate her in his review. Anyway, Prosper, so Darla leaves. Then we got Prosper and Nova at the diner talking. Prosper spills the beans. Prosper tells Nova what really took place with her dad and those white men. And come to find out, Nova has the whole story wrong. That was not according to Prosper. And I'm going to say according to Prosper, because that's all we have to go by. Prosper tells her, listen, before he was your daddy, he was my friend, and I know him. And I'm telling you, he ain't buried nobody. He ain't even killed a man. Matter of fact, he heard your mama singing to your brother, and your mom's voice is the one that kept him from killing the man. And him and the man ended up going to the hospital. He took the man to the hospital. And what he was burying was all of the stuff that reminded him of what he almost did, which was commit murder. Nova then has this look on her face like, oh shit, I got this wrong. And I think her wheels are churning in her head telling her, okay, well, if I got that wrong, perhaps what else have I been wrong about? And that's the brutal honesty about it all, how she just really didn't think this all the way through. And what's so messed up about all of this is you had the audacity to actually try and check all of your boxes and dot all your I's and cross all your T's with Jimmy Dale and going to go interviewing him, but never go interview the members of your own family who you were writing about and who this involved, and or even Darla, to really check the story out. Whatever. Anyway, at Vi's house, Hollywood comes home. Thank you, sweet 7-pound, 3-ounce baby Jesus. Because y'all know I'm not here for Aunt Vi and this whole Hollywood situation. Not here for Aunt Vi at all. And how she handled the whole Hollywood situation. Because Hollywood ain't did nothing. But I'm so glad Hollywood is there. And Hollywood is back to being Hollywood. He's being a great husband. He's being a great man. And he's being a great black man at that, okay? Doing all of the right things, saying all of the right things. And I am here for it. And she's actually happy that he's back as well. Then we see Ralph Angel and the ugly chick at the before the board or the panel or whatever, defending the reentry program, that are reviewing the reentry program to see if they want to shut it down or not. And so he's talking about everything, and she's adding her adding what she needs to add in there with regard to the situation with the arrest and how everything's been good, this, that, and the third. And we see that, okay, they don't really have an angle with regard to whether or not they've done everything they need to do the right way within the program. But then the dude was like, oh, but didn't the mill just burn down? And don't you mill there? And he was like, Ralph Angel was like, yeah, but I've already harvested 2/3 of my crop, so we're not really taking that big of a loss. He was like, but still, what are you going to do for payroll? You still have a loss, and what are you going to do for payroll? Because they got to be paid for 40 hours a week. Are you going to have the money to do that? And Ralph Angel knows he isn't. And he knows that they got him. And now the mill burning is affecting Ralph Angel as well. So you got Nova, who's affecting Ralph Angel in his personal life with regard to Blue and that situation. And then we got Charlie on the other hand with what she got going on affecting Ralph Angel and his professional or business life. And so Ralph Angel's getting it from both sides, both sisters. And as much as Nova is messed up, based on her decisions, the decisions that Charlie is making as well, good, bad, or in between, have real consequences. And those are affecting Ralph Angel and the whole family as well. Then we're back at Aunt Vi's diner. We see Charlie meeting with the farmers, and they're not here for it. After this fire, the farmers are like, listen, we ain't here for this. We done lost money. You talking about insurance plans. The insurance companies sometimes take a long time. It could take years. And they kind of walk out on her and kind of give up on her because they were like, listen, we ain't got this kind of energy to be fighting with the land. We out here trying to make money. And Ralph Angel knows that he can't pay all of the workers at his farm. And he tries to solicit the other farmers to maybe hire a few of his workers. And they were like, we ain't got that kind of money to be paying people no more. We don't already took a loss. And so Ralph Angel is coming to grips with, exactly what they said at that review board, that how are you going to pay these people? Back at Aunt Vi's at Aunt Vi's house, they're having a family dinner, and Vi's wanted to have this family dinner so they can have a chance after everything that has gone down to sit out and just be a family. The ugly chick comes, Lord, and she starts to talk to Charlie about the fact that it's not going to be as easy as you think to get Francis Boudreaux and the Landrys on this arson. It's a high um it's a high ceiling in terms of trying to prove that they actually did this. And yeah, you have the recording, but she doesn't come out and admit that she's responsible or she did it. And Charlie's trying to throw things at her saying, but what about this? What about this? What about this? And Ugly Chick is like, that's not enough. And so Charlie is kind of unraveling at this point because, like I said earlier, Charlie is coming to grips with the fact that you are not in urban America. You are in rural America. And in rural America, white is right. In rural America, a white person with money has a lot of influence. And they can do things and get away with things that they wouldn't be able to do in populated metropolis or metropolitan urban centers, which lean more progressive. And so Charlie, she's having a hard time accepting the fact that she cannot fix this. And we'll see this play out throughout the episode. Vi tries to comfort her and tell her, listen, this just happened 2 seconds ago. And you need some time to, sit back, relax, take a breather, and then start to try to dissect and, come to terms with how to figure this out and how to make this work. Nova then calls White Boy Cop. She tells him how, listen, I've lost my family. She starts crying and breaking down. And then, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm reading my notes. Now, I think I wrote down in my notes here that I felt like at that moment, she realized it. She really is coming to grips with, learning that the story that she wrote about her dad was wrong, and that perhaps not much of, but there's a good possibility that a lot of what she wrote in her book may also be wrong because she just did it on an island in a vacuum and did not consult with the people it involved to get the full scope of what really happened. And she's seeing that because she didn't have the ability, or it wasn't possible for her to really speak with her dad about it because he's dead. But she did have the opportunity and she did have the ability to speak with her family members, and she just chose not to. And so now you have to question the validity of everything she wrote in all of the stories. We are at Aunt Vi's house next. Aunt Vi is in bed. She's praying for the family. She's an intercessor, a prayer warrior. Like a lot of black women, older black women, they become prayer warriors, just real intercessors. And she's praying for the family and even prays for Nova. Even though she says to God, I'm having a hard time with her, but still, I'm praying for her too. And you see some real intercessory prayer here with Aunt Vi, which I really love because I come from a household where every day, every morning, for at least 2 to 3 hours, and every night, my grandmother was going to be in there praying for her family. So I knew all about that. Then we got White Boy Cop comes over to Nova's house. Micah comes over after that. Micah sees White Boy Cop. Micah said, oh, that's the cop, huh? And he was like, oh, I'm not a cop no more. Cop sees that Micah ain't feeling him. Micah giving him a look like, And he was like, well, I'm going to go out back and, I'll give y'all some time. Micah is starting to take the rose-colored glasses off with regard to Auntie Nova. Because he says, now, wait a minute. You supposed to be I'm all pro-black, or I'm all against how white folks are treating my black people. But you over here dating this white cop. And Nova's like, oh, well, he's not like that. He's never done anything. And Nova says, well, he's never done anything. He's never abused, hurt a black person. But he's been there when they have gotten hurt. Has he? Have you asked him that? Have you asked him whether or not he turned a blind eye to that? Have you asked him that? I mean, he questions her and asks her some hard questions about him. Did you ever figure out, Did you ever ask him this? Did you ever ask him that? He had some serious questions. And so now we're starting to see, Micah is starting to see, yeah, some of the stuff your mama had to say about your aunt is right. Then we're at Rod's farm with the workers. Rod has finally had to come to grips with, listen, I can't pay these people. And I got to be honest with them. So he calls them over. He has to tell them, listen, unfortunately, I got to let you go. And he starts to hand out those last, I guess, paychecks or whatever. Unfortunately, because of everything that went down with the mill, he has to let them go. And you can see it's crushing him. Crushing him. And like I said earlier, Ralph Angel is getting it from both sides, the Nova side and the Charlie side, with things that are affecting him that is out of his control and nothing that he caused. Then we have Charlie at home, and she's not coping well. At this point, she's not coping well at all with her not being able to fix what's going on. She then goes over to the mill, and she's in a bad place. She starts to sweep up. She sweeps and she runs into the sign that says Queen Sugar, the name of the mill, and just breaks down. In the midst of her breaking down and having this moment, who pops the hell up? Sam Damn Landry. He tries to talk to her. He shows up talking about he came to pay his respects. Because he's at a whole death and a whole funeral. Because in his eyes, I done killed you off, boo-boo. I done killed off your meal. And this is the funeral and a crematorium for your whole livelihood and your life and your family. That burning meal was a crematorium. Y'all done got cremated. So he's right. In his eyes, I am paying my respects. Y'all are dead. He says he ain't do it. This is not him. And he tries to tell her, listen, I warned you about my sister, this, that, and the third. And he's alluding to, listen, it wasn't me. It was my sister. And that's the one you need to be checking. She ain't trying to hear it. She like, listen, if you expect me to believe you, there's an Ice Cube's chance in hell for that. You are obviously holding a bulletless gun thinking that you got a shot in terms of convincing me this is not you. Next, we got Ralph Angel at home. He cooks for the ugly chick. And I'm going to fast forward through this. I ain't even going through this. He talks about, he feels like he's always cursed and people like her are always privileged. And she talks about, I ain't always been privileged. And I don't really care because the ugly chick is pushing up on my man. And I know where this is leading. This is leading to sex and all of this because he starts crying. Can you stay over this, that, and the third? And I'm not here for it. I am not here for the ugly chick pushing up on my boo. I don't care. Y'all can come see me in the comments. If you got a problem, see me in the comment section. Anyway, Micah and Kiki are together. And Kiki is telling Micah, this whole scare has really rekindled her in terms of the love that she has for Micah. She's talking to Micah about, listen, I'm ready. Meaning she's ready to get that, pussy popped. Okay? She's ready to break her virginity. And she does what all teenagers, well, not all, but many teenagers do at that time. Prom, senior prom is when you get that pussy popped. Okay? Senior prom is when you get that virginity snatched. Okay? And she was like, we need to stop planning for the prom. And Micah's thinking she's talking about, outfits and the cars or whatever. And she's like, we need to start planning for the prom. And he's like, uh-oh. Okay. We'll see how that plays out. Nova is then at home with White Boy Cop. And she starts to question White Boy Cop with the same question that Micah had for her. And then realize that everything Micah was thinking was right. You ain't never asked him because you really didn't want to know. And you really knew the answers to those questions, but you didn't want to know the answers because being confronted with those answers would make you a hypocrite. It makes you a hypocrite. And so, once again, Nova is forced to see that she had it all wrong all along. And she's coming face to face with her own hypocrisy. It was great. It was beautiful to see it. Then we're at Ralph Angel's house, and he's laid up with Ugly Chick, and you could tell they probably got through having sex, fucking, and so who calls while they're sleeping? Darla, baby, I know Mother James Caldwell, Spiller Boy TV, is about to lay Darla out in his review on this part. Baby Dollar called so conveniently. Oh, how are you, Ralph Angel? I was just checking on Blue. And how's Blue? It's the middle of the night, whore. You ain't calling. You calling to interrupt what Ralph Angel got going on. We see you for your bullshit, Dollar. She all lonely and everything, too. Child. Y'all know Dollar ain't shit in this. She ain't shit this episode. While I felt bad for her last episode and the episode before that, not so much this episode. That bitch ain't shit. We end up at Charlie's house. Enrique Raul Jorge Consuelo comes over, bamming on the door. Bamming on the door. Comes in. He has a newspaper. Obviously, somebody put a newspaper story in the newspaper about the deaths of those migrant workers who danced. Not who danced, dear Lord, who died because of Charlie. And he finds out, and he is mad. He ain't play mad. He is hurt. He is what they call butt hurt about this, okay? Real mad. And I don't know what this means for their relationship, but that young man is upset. And that's where the episode ends. And it wasn't, we had high drama last week. And so I guess we needed this episode where it wasn't as drama filled, but it was still good connections that were made. We're starting to see pieces being put together. So I was happy about this episode as well. Still great writing. I want to go back and watch that conversation between Francis Boudreaux and Charlie again, because it was so good. Anyway, that's all I got for y'all this week. We'll be back next week. Also, starting next week, I will be reviewing the new show, David Makes Man. I'm so excited about it. Catch my reviews for that starting next week. We'll be back here, and y'all get to see me for Pose to, but Queen Sugar and David Makes Man next week. So that's all I got. Thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely.